Greetings and welcome to Second Breakfast, the second most important meal of the day. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Jason. Shawn, what's for second breakfast today?
Today, for Second Breakfast, we are going to be talking about the second episode of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 2, titled Where the Stars Are Strange, directed by Charlotte Brandstrom, who directed last episode, also directed by Louise Hopper, who did some episodes last season, written by Jason Cahill, again, another writer that worked on last season. And released yesterday, August 29th, 2024. Jason, what did you think of Season 2, Episode 2?
I liked it. I think they still did a good job of just you feeling this sense of foreboding, this like anxiety kind of building up throughout the whole episode still. I felt more of the weird pacingness than I did the first episode, but I don't know. I still take it with a grain of salt because it seems like these first three are made to be kind of binge watched. So like if that section was like a middle of a movie, like I'm totally fine with it, right?
Yeah.
My one thing is I hope that we get a bit of action in the third episode. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been a lot of building up, a lot of Sauron. That's gonna be this whole season. So I'm down for it.
Well, now they can play their cards, right? So they can just go for it. Yeah, I liked this episode more than the first one, but I also just had like a better viewing experience.
Okay.
For this one, so that might be part of it. But at the same time, I'm not vibing very much with the pacing of this season so far. It's just a little fast, in my opinion. They're just go. Like, I don't know. We're already getting into the dwarves' rings being made, and I guess like this stuff had to happen. You know, because there's still so much to cover.
There's so much that has to happen, and like so much that like is just kind of like a page or whatever in a book where it's like, okay, here's this siege, but like I think the thing that is done well in the Lord of the Rings movies is that when you are watching like from like Frodo and Sam's perspective, then the next time you go back to where there's been like a battle and stuff, it's clear time has passed.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And in this,
time feels weird.
It isn't really as much.
Yeah.
Either A, obvious, or B, time hasn't passed. Right. It's like basically where you just left off with them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that was with the dwarves.
I'm fine with it feeling like it's like go if it means I just see more of the stuff that might have happened off screen on screen, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about like the timing stuff. The dwarves, I was a little like, wait, when did we last see them? Last season? Because it seems like they're just now reacting to Mount Doom, and in my head I'm like, did they not know about Mount... I can't remember when the last time we really saw them was in Season 1.
I mean, the thing with the Dwarven timeline is that, like, there hasn't been their reaction. Because, like, you know, like, Mount Doom erupts and stuff, and, like, you can see it, obviously, from the humans' perspective, and you can see it from, like, I think it was, like, the Harfoot's perspective. They can see it in the distance or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't see it from everybody's perspective. So, like, we hadn't had that initial... And I think that, like, the opening with the map is just showing, okay, now...
Yeah. By the way...
Now, basically, this second episode, Dwarven timeline, is, like, the end of Season 1, kind of. So the Dwarven timeline is still kind of catching up, but it feels like...
It's caught up by the end.
It's caught up by the end of this episode with Celebrimbor saying, yo...
Yeah. Come to it again. Yeah, overall, I dug this episode. We'll get into the, nitty-gritties of each of the plot lines. I still feel like it's kind of weird. I don't know if it's kind of weird, but it's funny that some of the plot line, like I guess I don't even know if I'd say some of the plot lines. I really mean the Sauron plot line. Feels like it's moving so fast, and yet we haven't seen Numenor, we haven't seen Arondir. Really, I feel like we've seen a lot of the Stranger, but I don't know that I feel like he's moved that far.
That's why I'm like, I don't really like that storyline right now. Like, I'm not super intrigued by it. And it's also completely non-canon, so I don't really care about it as much. Like, me going into it, it's more like, oh, like, what is this going to be? Because it's just completely new.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really grasped me at all. And then, like, between that and then things of such import happening in the other timelines, like, I don't really care. Like, so much has happened in this, like, basically Sauron, you know, was like cast out. He went to Mordor. He subverted Adar, like got Adar to.
Yeah, I mean, he really has done so much, hasn't he?
He got Waldrig essentially killed, probably. Now he's in Aragian. He's infiltrated Aragian. Now he's got Celebrimbor like completely around his finger, pretty much. Like
he's already started corrupting the elves.
Over for Celebrimbor. The 9 have already been talked about. Like, it is just. It's just kind of over for him.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, he's done so much, but still so much has to happen.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I don't know. I don't really feel bad about the pacing, just because I know
we've got a lot ahead of us.
There is a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah. I think it just feels like, I didn't really, I've seen both of these episodes once, so I'm kind of processing it in real time, right?
Yeah.
And I just watched them. But I think that, like, I kind of finally nailed it while we were talking just then about what feels weird to me, which is the Sauron stuff feels like it's so much further ahead than everything else. The Sauron stuff, like, he's doing stuff, and it feels like everybody else is like, we're seeing them, but, like, not a lot is getting accomplished. Like, Sauron has left the elves, gone to Mordor, wrapped Adar around his finger, left Mordor, gone to Celebrimbor, wrapped him around his finger, laid the plans for making the rest of the rings, and, like, he hasn't physically done this himself, but tangentially related to that, the elves have gone through a whole, like, should we use the rings or not plot arc.
Yeah, and they're, like, clearly already under their influence.
Yeah, it's just, it feels like there's so much happening so quickly with specifically him and the elves that I think that's where the pacing feels weird, is that it's uneven with the rest of the show.
Yeah, they're, like, already kind of corrupting, and then, I don't know. I think where it's weird is that normally in shows, you're just following the good guy, and the good guy and what has happened with the good guy helps you really to reference what's going on, right?
Yeah.
But, like, the good guy isn't the main character in the season.
Yeah.
The main character is Sauron.
Which I love, by the way. I do love that,
So,
though.
like, I think, especially as, like, shit actually starts to really happen and really go down, I think it will work itself out. It's just that he has so much, because season 1 was like, okay, we're not really revealing it till the end, right? He has so much ground to cover, and like, he has to, like,
he has to play catch up a little bit.
Yeah.
Now that we've revealed the mystery, and we can actually start to use this as a storytelling, like, we have to kind of catch up.
So much, because, like, think about it. Like, you said Adar's wrapped around his finger. I think he's still Adar's.
He's not wrapped around his finger, but
yeah, he does. Think about this.
He played him.
Sauron has no army.
Yeah.
He has, like, pretty much no power except for just his, like, smarts and like, his magic of like messing with people, right?
Yeah.
And he has to go from that to, like, you know, getting control of with like the 3 elven rings. Then he has to get the 9 dispersed. He has to get the dwarven 7 dispersed. He's got to get like all of this shit to happen, right? And like,
but we have so much time. Unless they've changed their minds, we're 2 episodes in. Okay, so like essentially, we're what? What's 8 times 5? Well, again, that's what's 8
40?
times 5?
40?
Yeah, I think so, right? Yeah, 40. So we've got 40 episodes if they're doing the 5 seasons, and we're on we've done like maybe a quarter of that.
Yeah. We're still in like we basically just like if it's like a 5-act thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would say like Act 2 is kind of started, but not really. Like obviously it's like, well, duh, Jay, we're in fucking season 2, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even really think, like, without like spoiling the entire series, like what's supposed to happen. Like,
Yeah.
There's got to be 2 wars have to happen. 2 wars have to happen. Like.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And then, like, basically nothing bad has happened in Numenor, except for the king dying.
Numenor hasn't really started its storyline yet.
Right. So there's still so much that has to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, kind of like 3 wars has to happen. So, like, I don't know. Do we really have that much time? And especially if we're having, like, fucking half the episode, or not half the episode, but, like, 10 minutes of every episode be like, it's fucking Nori and the not Gandalf guys, remember? Like,
yeah, no, that's true. Let's start talking about the different parts. Let's get the stranger out of the way at the beginning.
Yeah.
I feel like they want us to think the weird bearded dude is Saruman.
Yo, Bobby, yo. I forgot we had the This is gonna be in the episode. It's gotta get cut. Yo. It looked crazy with the full screen right now, though. Hey, yo, what was he doing to that? Oh, no. He ran out of batteries. Wind him up. Oh, my God, I have long hair. Yo. I'm hitting it. This is after we got yelled at. Dude, Fabio, thank you for the Prime. The 30 months, dude. Appreciate it. The free Prime subscription you get when you link your Twitch account with Amazon Prime.
So they want us, I think, to think that the bearded dude is Saruman. Or they want us to draw connections.
Like, Saruman is like not even here. And then Saruman is supposed to be a good guy for like hundreds of years.
But I guess when I say they want us to think that is they don't want us to think that. People that know better, I mean the general audience that is going to look at him and be like, oh, he kind of looks like Saruman. He kind of sounds like Saruman. I remember him being a bad guy in the movies, but it's been a while since I've seen them. There's a lot of stuff. Like look, they spend so much money on this show. They need to play towards the normies as well, right? There's definitely plot threads that we're like, we can see past.
I guess I can agree though. Like he's supposed to be the Sauron character, sure.
Yeah.
But like he fills that archetype. But to say like, oh, they're supposed to think he is Sauron, I don't know if I really agree with that.
Or Saruman, but yeah.
Or Saruman, yeah. Sorry.
I think it's such a like. It's just such a striking resemblance.
I don't know. I guess I disagree with that too. But I don't know. I guess the only thing that is interesting to me with that is like
Slim Shady being back?
No, I don't care about Slim Shady. The thing that is interesting to me is that he could be like a blue wizard. But
yeah.
Even at the end of the day, like, if I think about what this storyline is supposed to achieve, the best case scenario in my head is that this Gandalf character stops there from being an even bigger force coming.
Yeah.
And, like, that's cool and all, but then effectively, like, no one even knows about it. So, like, for everyone else, it effectively does nothing.
It's Lion King 1.5.
Like, it's its own circle, right? Like, it's its own story where nothing really it doesn't affect the main story because it gets solved on its own. Like, it could have strayed into the area
because
of the
there's
main
a wizard
story,
here,
but because he fixes it and does this thing, it ends up meaning the entire story was just its own story, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't really care about it as much. I'm not as big of a fan.
Yeah.
I do like the stranger's acting. That cool tornado he did or whatever.
That was sick.
That was wild.
The
and
magic
fact that
is
they
so
didn't
cool.
like go back to that after it being like, yo, is Nori and Poppy dead?
Yeah.
Obviously they're not. Yeah, I don't know. I hate to say it, but like I really don't care about this storyline. The more I think about it, and the more we talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I think I like it, but I think I'm more okay with knowing that from a meta perspective, I think it's actually kind of impressive that they found a way to satisfy two requirements, right? One requirement from the fans: don't fuck this up. Don't throw a wizard into the middle of this stuff that very clearly there was not a wizard involved in. But the second edict is, I guarantee you, somebody at Amazon is saying, if you don't put a wizard in this show, we will fire you and hire somebody that will.
And halflings, yeah. They are a checkbox. So it's really annoying.
There's no version of this show that would exist without this plotline. To me, this is the most impressive version of them going, we're going to make it somewhat matter in that it seems like there's this thing brewing in the East that could maybe have turned the tide. Right, maybe...
Right, because they straight up know about Sauron and Ishtars and stuff. Yeah.
So maybe the end of the Second Age would have played out differently if these guys had gotten involved. But we've got this character who's going to go and preempt that, but that means he's not interfering with, like, the quote-unquote canon. You know, so to me, it's like, I'd rather this plotline wasn't here, but that was never an option. We were always going to have something like this because they were never going to make the show without it.
I could also see them, like, because he might not be Gandalf. He literally quotes Gandalf in the first season.
Yeah.
But you could say, oh, maybe Gandalf stole this line from, like, if he's a blue wizard. Because, like, Gandalf does, like, the idea is, like, oh, yeah, there was two blue wizards, but I forgot their names or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like you'd be like, oh, like they had met each other before or something. But basically, in the canon, the two blue wizards are sent first. They could be like, oh, one of the blue wizards is sent first, gets corrupted, and then the second one comes and then ends up being the one that stops him.
That's kind of what I think is happening.
I could see that being the case. Or he's just Gandalf or whatever. Like, it's one of the two in my eyes.
Yeah.
Or, like, the big switch up is that it's Saruman or whatever.
Oh, and he's like a hero?
But it wouldn't really make a lot of sense because of the whole, like, halfling connection.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think I'm going to probably be writing until they call him Gandalf, which I will say this. I think we'll have our answer by the end of this season. I think them talking about, like...
so.
I think them talking about, like, the power of names and stuff... Like, I think we'll get an answer.
Yeah, there's no way that they have that line like, oh, once you hear it in your heart, it sings. And
like we're going to find out by the end of the season. But until they say this guy is Gandalf, I'm on the train of I think that they are the two blue wizards, and they're gonna because like
I think that's fair.
I also feel like the stranger plotline is difficult for me because of how contrived it is. Like, I after this episode, I mean, we've got one more left, and obviously then we've got 5 after that. But I don't feel good about Poppy being here. They haven't they didn't win me over in this season.
Feels weird being there.
This episode did not win me over for why she would be there. Him finding the staff, but that's kind of where I think that's a trap from the other Blue Wizard, because that almost killed them.
I just had interpreted it as a vision of once you get the staff, it sets in motion bad things.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think it's interesting that when he gets the staff, he loses control until it disintegrates.
I mean, I felt like he was still not really in control.
Yeah, but he's more in control once the staff is gone.
What? I don't know how I interpreted it. Oh, shoot.
Yo!
We're getting a raid? Yo! Esper!
Crabs like those? Crabs like those?
Music make you lose control. Have you ever seen crabs like those? Yo, Esper, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, guys. We are currently in the middle of our live podcast Second Breakfast, talking about the Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 2. We are definitely in spoiler territories for Rings of Power.
Pretty huge spoiler territory.
Yeah, we are just talking about straight up spoilers of Rings of Power Season 2. You're more than welcome to lurk. But yeah, thank you so much. I hope you had a great stream. Thank you so much for the raid. If you need to raid and dash, by all means, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Also, I should probably say this is Shawn AFK right here.
Yo, Shawn is AFK.
Mike is currently at the store, and Mike's not on this podcast, so we're just shooting the shit here, doing the podcast. But yeah, I felt like I mean, you would know Shawn from being at Reconnect because Esper was at Reconnect.
Sure.
Esper was hanging out at the pool with us.
Okay. I don't remember a lot of Reconnect.
Yeah, we're gonna get back into it. So spoilers for Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 2.
Yeah, I could go anyway with this storyline. To me, those are just kind of the vibes that I'm getting from it. I need them to do something though.
Oh yeah, I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, so how I had interpreted it is that he casts this spell while he's holding the staff, and the staff is disintegrating because this spell is too strong. To me, it's like he was trying to fight back the spell with his staff, and the staff is just disintegrating while he's fighting against this spell, and then it breaks, and then he's like, well, shit, now I can't fight it back against it. So
okay.
Now I'm just going to go try and save
Nori
my friends.
and Poppy, yeah. Yeah, I guess I thought my interpretation was that it was amplified by the staff.
Right, no, I agree. I agree that it was amplified by the staff, but that the staff wasn't strong enough to then fight.
To then control it.
Right, if its attack was it 2x'd his attack on it, but the defense was terrible, it couldn't fight back against it, and then it just disintegrated, right? Yeah. Thank you, Esper.
I love the designs of the Runin people.
They do look cool.
They look real cool.
They do look cool. I feel that I'm probably gonna have to fight through this whole season of something really cool and awesome happening that I've read about or wanted to see in live action. And then it cuts away from that to then go to this.
I just hope
I don't care as much about.
I'm very curious
because before it was cool because I didn't know if he was Sauron or not. I didn't know. And then I was like, I don't know. We'll see.
But now we know this is a.
Now we know he's not Sauron, and now I don't care.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. I'm really very curious to see what they do. I mean, look, we have to remember, I think they're aware that this is the storyline that's going to have the toughest time with people because they're pulling out the big guns. Tom Bombadil is in this storyline at some point. Like,
which is weird. Like, how
that is a weird thing to do.
Are they gonna get like? Are you telling me Tom Bombadil is like in Rune?
I got no idea.
Time period.
I have no idea.
Because like his hideaway is supposed to be in the east, or the west. I mean, not the east. So
near the Shire, right?
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's definitely going to be weird, but it's definitely that like break glass in case of emergency thing where they're like, we need a fucking recognizable, we need a character that the nerd people are going to lose their minds over to keep them invested in this. So let's throw Tom Bombadil in there.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Like, are they going to like go like leave Rune? Like, it seemed like the whole point is that they're in Rune like the whole time.
I still think it would be very funny if this was The Lion King 1.5, where it's just. They're just off stage of all the major events. So they're there at whenever, you know, like when all this stuff that's happening in Numenor is happening, but they're just like kind of off camera.
Like they're somehow in Numenor?
Yeah. It just like pans to the right and there's two like Horfoots running by and like nobody acknowledges them, but they're having their own little like
Nori's like doing like the soy Wojak, like
yeah. Oh shit, yeah,
and
exactly.
It's like the battle of the last alliance.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like
look.
It's like cast the ring into the fire, Isildur, and he doesn't do it, and then the camera just pans up, and they're standing on like a cliff above, and like I knew he wouldn't do it.
What are you doing?
I knew he wasn't strong enough. Yeah, I think it would be fun. It'd be so stupid. It'd be so stupid.
Oh boy.
We saw the dwarves this episode again.
We did see the dwarves.
We saw Disa.
Durin, such a good dwarf, you know?
Yeah, I think all of it is. I loved the scene of Disa singing.
That was cool.
I loved the camera movements during it.
Yep.
I like that it made things worse.
The layering and the idea that the layering was from the echoing and they're building on it.
So I'm a little
Really cool.
I'm a little uncertain about what do you think right now King Doran's plan is?
I mean, I think it's gonna be.
Are they trying to dig and find like surface access?
Yeah, so they're trying to get proper surface access so that they can build
the light things,
the light tunnels.
Yeah,
right. So that they can grow crops, or else they're gonna like starve.
But they're not able to find, or they're not able to, because they said there's a scene with young Doran where they almost imply like they're not having success, like they're not able to find it.
No, yeah, they're not finding success, and the idea is that the singers are gonna find a safe path.
Okay.
Like right now, they're just kind of blindly digging.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And so it's very dangerous. And to me, it's going to be like the ring is what is going to... They're going to have a path that can work, right? Where it's like, okay, like... Obviously, they're, like, incredibly fucking rich because they're dwarves and they've just been hoarding gold and jewels and shit for ages. They could just do, like, export, like import tons of food trade type of thing, right? And they would be fine, at least for a period, because obviously, like, war is going to come to all Middle Earth, so then, like, obviously that would be strained. But, while they properly are able to dig and get that sorted. Like, that could happen. But then what's going to happen is he's going to get a ring of power, and then he's going to be like, yo, mithril, baby.
Yeah.
Get the mithril.
Well, I think they would have to
and I think
start digging for more mithril to make more rings, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
To begin with. So that's my kind of guess for this season for the dwarves is by the end of it, they're going to wake up the Balrog fully.
Yeah, they're going to wake up the Balrog. They're going to secure mithril enough to, like, make more rings or whatever.
And I think in the process of getting the mithril, they're going to screw up and the Balrog is going to enter the picture.
Yep.
That's a plot line I'm excited to see continue, but I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on it right this second. Is it just the elves then?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just the elves from then on, really.
Yeah. Galadriel is trying to get trying to get a group to go to Eregion.
She's already stroking her shit, bro. She's stroking the ring already.
Well, she's not the only one. Gil-galad is as well.
He's been staring at his shit too.
And Círdan has the best kind of attitude where
it's still sus.
it's sus, but he at least clearly is like, he seems more aware of the danger than the other two do.
Yeah. He's like, look at how strong they are. We can do great things with this.
Like, yes, it's very dangerous, but there's a good trade-off where I feel like...
Well, and that's funny, too, because, like, the ring he has is literally, like, that, like, encouragement buff ring. Yeah. And he encouragement buffs Elrond.
So what about these visions people are having?
I mean, both him and then, like... She ends up having tons of visions and like being able to have like this far sight and seeing things that haven't happened.
Right, yeah, she talks about that.
And then the other person in the Lord of the Rings that ends up doing that too is Elrond, because Elrond gets the blue ring
after,
and Elrond has the blue ring during the Lord of the Rings.
And that's the one right now. Gil-galad has
it right now. And like that's just like a thing that they end up both like perceiving and communicating about and stuff like that. So like that isn't like an inherent like Sauron thing. No. It's like something the rings do.
But that's interesting that
and like you literally see the
Does Gandalf do that?
No.
So it's interesting that then Círdan doesn't seem to be having that happen.
No, he probably
because his ring doesn't do that.
Yeah. And I mean that's like that whole idea of like the balance or whatever, right? It's like, okay, two of them are seeing it, but the one isn't.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But yeah, I lost my train of thought. Oh no. It was cool to see that she had a vision, and then you see that literal shot later of her seeing Halbrand in Eregion.
Yes.
That was cool.
I'm so curious. I can't wait for their reunion. Like, we've already seen a little bit of it in the trailers, right? But I think it's going to be... There's a lot to work through there. There's a lot of emotions.
The fact that, like, his human form and his elf form, like, have the same face. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, his human form that he took after getting killed in the first episode is different, right?
Yeah.
And that would be a reason as to why Adar doesn't recognize him. Right?
Yeah. Well, it's also that, and I mean, I would kind of assume as well keeping the face this time, like he's trying to convince Celebrimbor, you know. I what a moron. Celebrimbor just at every turn. I mean, I guess he tried, right?
Yeah, having only watched it once, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because like the specific
mm-hmm.
The only moment I don't like, I should say, the only moment I don't like is how he ends up actually talking to him and worming his way in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so you're telling me he went in to go, like, oh, it's a cold night. Shall I bring him a shawl?
Yeah.
Like, could have just done that.
Yeah.
And then he wouldn't have talked to him.
Yeah.
But instead he goes.
I mean, he wants to talk to him, though, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's like an arrogance thing. It's like he's kind of like, shit, what's going on? But it's not like portrayed super well because, like, we don't know how much time it's been.
Yeah.
If there was some type of line saying, like, how long it's been of, like, him being there and then how long it's been of, like, not having heard from Lyndon.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Also, like, the fact that Lyndon hasn't had any of their messengers come back either. Like, should just be sending off huge red flags for both parties. And then the fact that he just instantly caves. He's like, I promised I would not speak to you. I would not treat with you. And then he's like, oh, she said you would say that. Just as like a absolute Hail Mary, right? And then he's like, oh, you talked to Galadriel? It's like, bro, just walk away, man. Like, it's not even like because of his ego, right? Like, if it was because of ego, then I mess with it because it's like, that's what it's supposed to be. But also because it's like this like strength, this like huge desire. Like, even though it is a weakness, it's like he wants so badly to do great things, to craft great things, right? And then it ends up just being because he's like, oh, you talked to Galadriel? It's like a stupidity thing, right? Like,
it's so...
They needed to either lean more into fear, lead more into confusion, lean more into something that isn't just as, like, one throwaway line, it being, like, this, like, linchpin in this. I don't know. That's the one thing I don't like about this part of the storyline so far.
Can I tell you the one thing I don't like about this part of the storyline so far?
Yeah.
The worst part of this whole show so far was when he called him the Lord of the Rings.
That part was pretty cringe.
That part, I mean, that, like...
I literally called it, too.
Yeah, that was...
We were sitting there watching it, and he's like, they'll revere you, and I'm like, as the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that
and he goes, as the Lord of the Rings.
It was probably, like, people make fun of the dialogue in this show, but, like...
Yeah, that one was...
They're lying about, like, the dialogue, but, like, that was some...
That was actually some, like, Marvel shit. Like,
that was, like...
We are all the Avengers.
Yeah. That was some, what are we, some kind of Suicide Squad moment. Yeah. Producer Mike. Hi.
Producer Mike and Tara are here.
Yeah, there's a microphone right there if you want it.
Mike's the producer, and then Tara is our producer's producer.
I don't think it's on.
Is this thing on?
Yeah.
It is. I didn't see the episode. I have nothing to say on it. Thank you.
Oh, wait, can I just...
Yes.
Sauron. Hot still?
I mean, I didn't see the episode.
But, like, you know.
Did he, like...
Did you see the elf version in the trailer?
Maybe.
He's got long blonde hair now.
He fucks.
Tara says he fucks, so if Tara says he fucks...
His eyebrows kind of look weird in this first scene with him as an elf. But...
Hello.
He's kind of cool. Also, hi, Posey.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting close to wrapping up this episode. We were just doing the last plot line.
I'd give this episode like a solid 8. A solid 8 out of 10.
I'd probably say I'm about at the same spot. I'm trying to think.
I liked the first one better.
Yeah.
But the second one like wasn't bad. It just, I don't know. I really hope that like we don't have the fucking Nori plotline every fucking episode. Like every episode.
But what if it gets
like,
good?
We have now had 2 episodes of no humans at all.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I mean, yeah, I guess
but we gotta have the Nori one in every episode?
We haven't seen Theo at all.
Right. We haven't seen Theo. We haven't seen Arondir. We haven't seen Numenor.
We haven't seen
none of that
Isildur.
shit. But I seen Nori and Poppy in 2 episodes in a row, bro.
Yeah, I don't know why Poppy's here.
She feels so tacked on, honestly.
That's what I was saying. I don't know why she's here.
She is feeling so tacked on.
And look, they might bring me back around on it, but as of right
she's
now,
a totally fine actor. Like, it is really just like her coming and bringing the map and being like, "Let me help you," and then them not having a moment of like,
can I have one of those
"Okay,
Celsius
like,
things?
Are you coming with then? Like, are you actually coming with? Like, having like an emotional, like, human moment between them? We don't get that, and so it just feels so like, oh yeah, I was following you." And, like, I came because I brought this map, and this map's supposed to help you. And then they aren't like, oh, okay, well, now, are you headed back? Are you coming with? Like,
well,
you can't abandon everybody. Like,
And again, like,
it just feels so inhuman. Like the interpersonal relationships of the first just feel like they haven't really carried over as much into the second one for this plot line specifically.
And, it's what I mentioned in the first episode, and I guess I will continue to hope that they will give me better reasoning for this. But, I joke about like the line "You are the Lord of the Rings" being the worst part of the show because it's like it's a terrible line, like whatever. But genuinely, the worst piece of writing I think to happen in the show so far is bringing Poppy back, unless they like resolve it, because it just totally undercuts the end of Nori's arc last season. Yeah, like totally destroys it.
Like they don't really have like a moment. Like she just says why she came to help, immediately like shows them the reason, but then they're never like, okay, but like this means that you are no longer like with the like you will. How are you gonna get back to the group?
Yeah,
like you are being left behind currently.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't like it.
They don't have that like the tension of like nobody goes off trail, nobody goes alone, right?
Yeah.
And they're like utter survival of traveling together in like a pack and like all this stuff is just completely thrown out the window. But there isn't even like Frodo, Sam, like Frodo trying to leave on his own, and then Sam's like, "Oh,
like if that had happened at the end of the first season, then at least that's one thing."
Right. If it had happened at the end, like right away, I would like it way more than what has happened.
Like, yeah,
so
no,
far.
I just it. Look, there's stuff we've talked about in this show that hasn't totally landed, but every time I feel like you and I can have a conversation from the writer's perspective where we can get to why we think they're including it. Like what the goal of it is, right? I don't understand what the goal of having Poppy... Like, I can't even begin to understand why they brought her back. Nothing against the actress, right? She's great. The character's great. But, like, you got rid of her.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to bring her back.
It does not make sense. So it makes you feel like it's not a writing reason. It's like, oh...
But there's no way Poppy was, like, popular enough.
We just absolutely loved how the actresses worked together.
Yeah, I don't...
They had to stay together.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I thought it was going to be like the relationship of like Bilbo and Gandalf, right? Where like Gandalf's always talking in riddles, but it's because Gandalf's a bit of an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? But instead, it's like he's always talking in riddles, but it's because he genuinely like doesn't know who he is, and, like, what he needs to do. And so it's like a little bit of a reverse of the whole like, oh, Gandalf knows everything and Bilbo knows nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like she knows all of the like basic things and is having to like kind of help him. But then he knows these deeper truths because he's this like angel, basically.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, the fact that their entire plot point over this last 2 episodes, where I have seen them in like a total of like 20 minutes or something, probably, it's just we need food, we need water, we need food, we need water, we need food, we need water. We're being followed.
Ring this giant fucking
we need
bell.
Food, we need water. And then bro casts Eroga. Like he cast a Rosa, and now they're cooked. I don't know.
Yeah. The bell was driving me crazy.
Somehow we got back to bitching about the stranger.
I think it just means that we brought the podcast full circle.
That's true. That's true. My last points I want to make is that like, keep in mind, like, so we already had the 3 rings. They talked about, like, the 9 were name dropped.
They also name dropped the 7.
And, yeah, and obviously it's implied with the letter getting sent to Durin that, like...
They're going to do the 7.
Yeah, and, like, in the trailer, he already has a ring or whatever, right? And then the 1 ring also has to be made, too.
Do you think that'll be this season though?
There's a lot of shit. I could see it being like the finale.
Yeah. I think they might save it one more season.
But yeah, I would guess it would be next season.
Yeah. I think. Do you think the human rings will be made this season as well, or do you think that'll be next season? Yeah. So we'll probably have all the rings except for the one ring by the end of the season.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. I could also see the one ring being made as like an opener for next season. As like a, yo, shit is going down, frame 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just so much shit that has to happen.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out. I don't have anything to plug. The only place you'll hear me is here. Jason?
For those of you watching live, either whether you're just like lurking, talking in chat, whether you watched it with us live, shout out to you guys. Thank you so much. We'll have this on YouTube at some point.
Oh well, I do want to thank our good friends at Meadow Vista Media and Alex_Big Boy for the theme and the cover art, respectively. So, yeah, I think you send us off, right? Or wait, what do I say? I don't.
You start the send off, right? Like,
no, I think I just throw to you. And then you just say
actually no, you normally think Meadow Vista Media and Alex, and then I go.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoy your 11Zs, your luncheon, and your afternoon tea. And we'll be back for episode 3 soon. For those in the Twitch chat, we're going to be going back into the Discord to start watching episode 3 together. So see you there, or be a square. Enix.
Be a square?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be a square. You know, like in The Sandlot, they call him a square.
Yeah, no, I get it. But normally it's just like be there or be square.
Or be a square.
I don't know. You're adding a letter.
You're a square, Shawn. Shawn, you're a square.
Look, I know my figure isn't the greatest, but I'm...
Your shape is that of a square.